Hi, my name is Michael and I'd like to talk to you about the Lights On project, which is an effort to educate the general public on complex issues in a simple way, using some tools we've developed over at lightsonproject.com. The first issue we're going to tackle is how inflation is a tax. So let's say right here we have John Doe, Jane Doe, and the bank. And they each have $1,000 and it's worth $1,000. And there's $3,000 in the total money supply. And let's say that through this we're going to simulate how inflation works as a tax. So as you can see, this is the face value of $1,000 and this is the actual value. So one day the bank here gets into some trouble, makes some bad loans, and they suddenly need a bailout. Now one thing they could do is they could go to the government and ask them to raise taxes by 50% to get the money they need for the extra $1,000 from Jane and John by taking half of their wealth. And as a result, the bank would get up to the $2,000 it needs, and you'll notice 500 plus 500 plus 2,000 equals $3,000. So the money supply has stayed the same, it's just wealth has been transferred from Jane and John to the bank. Well, the problem with this is Jane and John are going to get very upset, and they're going to vote out in mass all the Congress members who voted for that tax increase in the next election. And now the bank is going to lose its allies in Congress, so the next time it gets in trouble, it won't be able to get an easy bailout. So that's not a good route for either Congress or the bank. So going back to 1913, when the Federal Reserve was created, a new option presented itself. And through this new option, it allows for Congress and the bank to get what they want without the general public being very wise to what they're up to. So let's say the Federal Reserve down here will loan into existence an extra $1,000, bringing the total money supply up to $4,000. And that way, from there, the money goes to the bank and they have $2,000. Now, unfortunately, because the money supply was increased, the value of the bank's total money has dropped to $1,500. But because it got the money for free at a very low, or essentially free because it was a very low interest loan, that's not really going to hurt them that badly. As for John and Jane, who both have $1,000, because of the money supply being increased, the purchasing power of their $1,000 has dropped to $750, or 75% of what it was prior to the bailout for the bank. Now, the bank gets itself into even more trouble, and now it needs an additional $2,000, bringing its total money on hand it needs to $4,000. So what the Fed will do is they will loan into existence an additional $2,000, bringing the total money supply up to $6,000, loaning it at very low interest to the bank, essentially free, bringing its total face value of money on hand with the actual value being only $2,000, because as you can see we've doubled the money supply, although the actual value hasn't, gone up. So now you're essentially left with Jane and John, who both have $1,000 each, but now their purchasing power of their $1,000 has been cut in half. And now with their $1,000 they can only really buy $500 worth of goods. So they've seen the value of their money drop by 50%. Except John and Jane are none the wiser that it was the bank and the Fed, through their coordination, who's the reason why essentially half their money has been stolen. They're out blaming the gas stations, the retailers, not understanding that it's actually this process of inflating the money supply which is causing them so much financial grief. Now, that's a pretty simple explanation, and we've developed a few tools to basically show other people. Just for starters, obviously this chart here, and you can go and you can download a PDF of it, and it's going to look like this, and then from there, you can cut it out after you go to a printer and you get some Velcro. Another option, however, is if you don't want to go to the trouble of, Velcroing and going out to a printer, is you can just simply, print it out on your black and white printer, cut out the pieces and maybe get some double-sided tape, and you can do the presentation that way. We also have some flyers that you can download. They're originally 4 up, but as you can see, you can cut them into little 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 to give out, and they contain links to videos, either as QR codes or they give you the title, and they're generally short, but they're very informative on the issue. We also have a PowerPoint presentation you can download in case you happen to have a projector, and we also have a little kind of app widget and Flash, so it'll play in Android phones, where you can go step by step through this presentation, along with just a quick, about 3-minute long animated version of the presentation I just gave. Now, to get this out here, we'd like to go to the source of education, which is our local schools. So what we've done is started a petition, which we plan to go around to local organizations like Rotary clubs, churches, charities, political organizations, and even just, some small business associations, and ask, hey, can we give this presentation during your meeting or before or after, maybe on a table on the side to collect signatures. And when we get enough signatures, push to get this included in the curriculum. I mean, it's really only about a 4 to 5 minute lesson, so it shouldn't take up too much time. And then from there, just because you've shown this to a lot of groups, you're educating people that way, and also if you can get it into schools, that'd be great, because, let's face it, this generation is inheriting a massive amount of debt. The least we can do for them is provide them with some of the tools to figure out how to pay it off. So that's the gist of the lightsonproject.com. If you want to take part, hey, go ahead, log on to lightsonproject.com and shoot us an email regarding questions or comments you have about the tools, how to get involved with local groups, and how to drop a petition. So thanks a lot for listening, and spread the message.